Rock and Wiley. Chris Haynes is back with us. Let's move to the Warriors, who might not have been able to keep Kevin Durant this offseason, but will be keeping Draymond Green around for a while. Handing Draymond a 4-year, $100 million contract extension. Green has long been the heart and soul of the Warriors, but is coming off a down year where he was out of shape and got into a major public spat with Kevin Durant. Question here, is smart for the Warriors to commit long-term to Draymond Green?
I think it's smart, and I think it's a win-win. I think that Draymond is thinking, I don't know how kind the market will be to me as a free agent. Let's just be real. You know, his numbers don't really tell his true value in terms of his production. So the Swiss Army knife on the open market may get a little undervalued. And the Warriors are sitting there like, okay, he's going to make 25 per. Some people will say that's a lot for Draymond. I don't think so, because you're going to blink and there will be guys making $50 million in very short term. So it's a smart deal from both sides. I see it as a win-win.
It's definitely a win-win. From the Warriors standpoint, I think they got the best of this situation. You lock him up for 4 years. He has a player option, something that the Warriors typically don't give to their players. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, none of those guys had that. And I reported a few minutes ago that his contract also contains a 15% trade kicker. So that's going to work in his benefit. But I will say this. There are some...
Plain trade kicker.
Now, he will get 15% of his contract if he is traded to another team. So that makes it difficult for a team to want to go and
pay
trade.
raise.
Yeah.
Huh?
So also, when it comes to Draymond, there are players who are going to be free agents next summer who look at this situation and say, hey, man, you know, he settled because he could have got $150 max deal from another team had he hit free agency, $200 if he stayed with Golden State. And so they're looking at it like it's setting the market for me. So if I'm playing a similar position, I might even be better than Draymond, but now his contract is setting the market for me next summer. So they're not feeling it. But for him, it's a win-win. They need him to keep this nucleus together, to keep the championship contending team intact.
To me, this sounds like the Warriors and Draymond are on one accord, that their relationship is rock solid. And it should be, because I think clearly the Warriors chose loyalty to Draymond Green over Kevin Durant. I think they would have had a better shot at retaining Kevin Durant if they were willing to move on from Draymond, weren't willing to do that. And so Draymond appreciates that loyalty. He doesn't break their back financially. He doesn't play this all the way out to try to see if he can get a $200 million deal or $150 million someplace else. So I think this works for both sides. I think this is the one organization where Draymond, 2 or 3 years from now, he's going to always make sense for the Golden State Warriors because of Klay and Steph will be there. He's got to be their backbone. He's got to be their bodyguard, their doorman.
The good citizen argument never falls in the right place for me. And I know what you're saying, like, oh, Draymond, here's your reward for loyalty. But in part, that loyalty comes at a cost. And I think Draymond is thinking, like, what is my price in the real marketplace? And once he comes to that understanding, look, his numbers last year, 9, 7, and 5. Okay, you can say Draymond Green is a free agent. You say, oh. And then when they start diving into these numbers, and then they start to say, what does that translate in terms of price? That's where I think Draymond, and Rich Paul's smart. Rich Paul's like, Draymond, let's be real about this. And this may hurt a little, but do you really want to roll the dice out there? I mean, look, there's arguments on both sides.
Numbers going to be a lot different this coming year with no Kevin Durant.
Oh, yeah. But then that's still a roll of the dice, because then you could get injured. If he's injured like Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, is he getting a $100 million contract? Draymond. Like, that's a whole different animal, because you don't have anything to bank on in terms of this absurd production. You got a guy who does it all, but he's a jack of all trades, not a king of one. And I think that Rich Paul and him said, look, this is $100 million to you, guaranteed no matter what happens going forward. That's a smart play for a guy who didn't reset his expectations. Because he's like, I'm still Draymond. I'm still a second rounder who now is in this conversation.
Is it Dre? Is it Dre?
Yeah, right. I applaud them for not getting caught up in the sauce. Because these dudes, a lot of dudes went to the free agency thinking they was going to get something, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, no, and you have to look at Draymond. Everybody criticizes him for what he does on the Golden State Warriors. Say, you wouldn't do this on another team. And I think it is safe to say that his value to the Warriors is much more immense than it would be on any other team.
Yeah.
And that's not to take anything away from him. That's just what he just fits the dynamic and the personnel of that roster.
All right, coming up, we'll give you our latest approval ratings for Baker Mayfield. And Uncle Jimmy would tell us what he thinks of the Browns quarterback. Next!